Welcome to Late Night Riders. On this episode, we talked with Kim Christie. Kim is a personal trainer, and she pitched us the idea of 2 workouts a week for only a half hour.
And how do you do that? If you listen in, you'll find out more about the power plates.
So enjoy. Welcome to Late Night Riders. I'm Gretchen, and I'm joined by my grandma Debbie and Kim.
Hi, Kim.
Hi.
So Kim, you're an equestrian. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got started in horses?
Started years and years ago, back in high school, and I rode with an amazing trainer, Sharon Shelley, and her daughter, Darcy Hayes, is still showing up in Canada and even in the States and stuff like that, so I get to follow her and see her, and her daughters actually ride too. But I got into it, loved it. I loved horses from, I think, the moment I was born. I didn't play with dolls, I played with horses.
Girls, that's
Yeah.
right.
I ride
There you
horses
go.
and
That's
all
right.
that stuff,
That's
so
right.
I play with them.
Yeah.
And then since then, I have 2 girls. One, Bailey, is riding now still and has a horse actually here in Swanton at
That's right.
Oxford Farms.
Yes.
Do they ride English, Western?
English.
Okay.
Yeah, we did. I showed hunters and jumpers, and Bailey does the same thing.
Fun.
Yeah.
And then when did you start into fitness, or like when did that become more of a priority for you?
That I started shortly after high school, so 30-something years
wow.
ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I got into teaching more group classes. I wanted to become more fit. I wanted to get more into nutrition. I just remember thinking shortly after high school, my family had all kinds of heart disease and all this kind of stuff and blood pressure. I'm like, there's got to be something to it. It can't be just hereditary. There's got to be some way I can control it.
Right.
So that's when I really got into it. And then, so I did group classes for a while. I even had my own studio for a while.
Oh, wow.
And then after I had my own studio, I started getting into weight training, and that really changed my life, my body. I went and got myself a personal trainer. He was an old school bodybuilder, and he helped me a ton.
Oh, wow.
And I fell in love with lifting. And so
Wow.
I've been doing personal training forever. And then 14 years ago, I was blessed to meet Mary Ellen and work for her and Positively Fit. And I absolutely love my job.
Yes.
And
I can attest to she's a wonderful trainer. She's my trainer. I know her. So
yeah, so that's how my whole journey has been with training and stuff.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's fun.
So it's changed though a lot. Though you started off like, I don't know whether it was just exercise and then weight and then you went on from there. So, but it's kind of changed. And my other question, I don't want to forget too, how it helped you maybe with your riding as well, because people that are listening probably want to know about that too. But it's kind of moved forward from there. And so you do mainly now the type of exercise and so forth you do. And so
Well, we do now is we work with power plates. It's an amazing piece of equipment. It's just revolutionary. Power plates started back in the 60s in Russia. And they discovered when the astronauts came back from space that their muscle and bone density went down, so they couldn't send them back out quickly. But if they trained them and worked them out on a vibrating platform, their muscle and bone came back so much quicker. So since then, in the 90s, power plate came along. The old platforms used to just vibrate one way, either up or down, side to side, all that. And then power plate comes along, and they came up with a harmonic vibration where it's moving up and down, forward, back, and side to side all at one time. So it is so many more things, and I'm seeing great results with everybody. So it's firing up the muscle spindles. It's an involuntary reaction. You can't help it. So every little muscle spindle is contracting and releasing 30 times a second or more. So if you're contracting a muscle, you're getting the benefits of 30 times a second, versus if you think of one rep of doing something, it may take, like a couple seconds up, couple seconds down, you get 1 rep. Well, if you do it on the power plate, you're getting hundreds of reps because you're getting all those contractions. You also gain flexibility. It fires up the nervous system, because your body, even though when you feel yourself on the plate, you feel the vibration, but your nervous system's going, holy crap, I'm going every direction.
Yes.
So your nervous system gets so much better and stronger. So people's balance gets better. I have a client who had an issue with falling a lot, and she would break bones and all this. And so she's been training on the plate, and she went away for a little while to her cottage home, and she came back and she said, Kim, you said this is going to help my balance. And I said, it does. You've gotten so much better. Why? She goes, well, I almost fell down a step. I'm like, you almost fell.
There you go.
It
That's
helped
awesome.
you. Yeah, you would
There
have
you go.
fallen before. But it's not just that. It just helps it gains. We have two places. There's Positively Fit in Maumee where we do personal training, but then there's a Sylvania location which is called Fit Vibrations, and they do group training. There's 8 plates there. At Fit Vibrations, we've done several contests with the different people, and we have a system called the RJL system, which will test your muscle mass, your bone density, your body fat, phase angle. Phase angle is the overall health of your cell. And in 8 weeks' time, people who are doing the plate have changed dramatically. All those body fat's going down, muscle mass is increasing, their bone is increasing, their phase angle is going up. So their bodies are getting healthier overall. And the awesome thing, and here's where I correlate it, not only, all those other things are great for riders, but this workout is only a half hour.
It's amazing.
Yeah, you don't have to be in the gym for hours. It's only a half hour start to finish, including at the end the rejuvenation, which is like a muscle massage, lowers cortisol and all that. And I know riders, we don't have time. We're working,
Right.
we spend time at the barn.
That's right.
And 10 minutes on the plate working out is equivalent to an hour of traditional training. So you're
Isn't it
so
amazing?
time effective.
That
Might be
Gretchen's-
such a dumb question, but if you don't work out and then you go and stand on this plate and you do 1 rep, which is the equivalent of 100 reps,
Well, ish.
how bad are you going to hurt afterwards?
That's the awesome thing. I talked about at the end, we do a deep tissue massage. It also detoxes the body and cleanses the lymphatic system. So the hurt comes from the lactic acid buildup.
Okay.
So that is detoxed out before it even builds up. So you may be like, I'm aware that I did something, but not like oh my gosh, I can't move. That does not happen. So
Wait, okay, so my second question is, if you just stand on it and you don't do anything, are you still getting some form of...
I mean, you're going to gain benefit no matter what, but
Okay.
your best bet, the most bang for your buck, is to have somebody who's knowledgeable guide you through the workout and let's be most effective. Because as we know, our bodies are all in balance some way, and especially riders, there's lots of imbalances. And when you come to our studio, we look at what are these imbalances, let's strengthen it up. And when your body becomes more balanced, strength and flexibility-wise in different areas, your body responds so much better. Everybody's activity gets better. We have a gentleman who plays weekend warrior hockey, and he got better and better and better. His teammates couldn't believe how much he was scoring, how much his endurance went up, and he unfortunately waited till after they won the tournament to tell him now, and how his buddies are looking into it. So it's, and the same thing with these golfers. We had a couple golfers that increased their drive and did all this, and so it helps with any sport you're doing. So that's the other thing that I love about the plate.
And a half hour.
Exactly.
That's
It's
so
so
awesome.
time efficient.
It is.
You cannot beat that.
It is, and it's just
Crazy.
not the same. You just don't feel like when you're done, like you're exhausted. But I will say this: when you do whatever your instructor helps you with, like Kim will tell you, you get this feeling of after you've done it, like whoo, like you really feel it, like whoo, and you just wait for a few minutes, and it just kind of resonates within you. And then you go on to the next one, and the rejuvenation is especially good. I do a lot of that. So it makes you just feel so good, just so much better. For somebody, people that have like the high cortisol, the people that, maybe you can explain that too, Kim, what we do when we just get all worked up and keyed up about things or whatever. We're working all day. We go to the, barn, try to ride real quick. We try to do everything, and we're just like, zzz, and it helps that as well too. Like
Well,
you
when
said.
our bodies are stressed, which everybody's body is stressed, and it depends on what your physiology is and how your body handles it. But all in all, your body, if it gets too stressed, releases cortisol. And that's the hormone that was made for fight or flight. Like you hear those stories of a mom picking up a car off a child. That's the cortisol release, the adrenaline release, and all that. Well, when our bodies are stressed, it relies on the adrenals and releasing cortisol too often. Like it may be like releasing cortisol when you drop a pencil,
Right.
and your body just gets so used to that and trying to live off of that. And then when you're that high cortisol releaser, your body just doesn't know how to function well, and you don't know how to rest, and all these illnesses and all this kind of stuff can happen. Adrenal
and weight
fatigue,
too, all
weight
kinds
gain.
of things. Yeah, and you
a
think,
lot.
why?
Yeah, what's going on when I'm doing everything right?
Right.
So the plate does bring cortisol levels down. And it also raises serotonin and dopamine. So everybody really feel, not only do you feel good from the massage and I feel good from the workout, but I'm calmer. I'm no longer living in that sympathetic fight or flight nervous system. I'm living where I need to be in the parasympathetic nervous system. And I feel relaxed, and then I feel good, you know, all that kind of stuff.
And they're making these for horses now? Is that correct?
Power plate themselves don't, but there are vibrating plates out there, yes. And I remember years ago when I was showing, back in the day, I was at, and they don't even have it, the show anymore, but at Bloomfield, it was Detroit Motor City.
Okay, yeah.
You remember the year that the Olympics was at Atlanta?
Yes.
So some of the Olympic riders came to that show as a warm-up. So I got to see some of those, but they came with this vibrating plate that they put the horses on. And I'm like, what the heck is that? So still was just very curious. I thought it was just, you know, this rich thing that they did. You know, we spoil our horses and we'll try everything on our horses before we try and take care of ourselves.
Right. That's
so,
true. We just talked about that. Do everything for them. Don't take care of us.
We'll give them supplements, feed them well, all this kind of stuff, make sure they get rest. And then
we're like, ooh.
And then our cortisol levels are high and we don't understand why we're exhausted 24/7.
That's right.
But anyway, so I remember that in the back of my head, you know, just like curious as to what it was. And when Power Plate, Mary Ellen brought Power Plate to the studio, I'm like, oh my gosh, this makes a ton of sense. Because the vibrating plate, they put the horses on, especially after each class, that calms them right down, just bring their stress levels down. It helps in recovery, you know, detoxes them, all that kind of stuff. And now you see them at different, you know, A shows and stuff like that, and the horses literally are taking a nap on it.
That's awesome.
Which you can understand.
Oh,
I mean, like at the end of your workout, it's like, give me a blanket.
Absolutely. I mean, just exactly right. You know,
I'm relaxed.
You just need it. Yeah, and it helps you so much. It truly does. So it's a big deal. And then different, depending upon your level and where you're at, then too, there are different exercises and things that you do. Like some people use like I don't know, different exercise like the kettlebells or things like that. But you know, depending upon where you are, then those exercises can get much more intense or just be at a lower level, but it still makes such a big difference.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Well, on the plate, because the plate does move around and it moves like 2 millimeters every direction. When you're on the plate, your body weight is 2 to 3 times your own body weight. So when you're doing your exercise, say push-ups and stuff, it's a little bit harder, but your body doesn't feel it because it's firing up all those other muscle spindles.
Yeah.
So it makes some exercises easier, you know, because it makes it more doable. And then when you add weight to what you're doing, so you can do anything on the plate that you do on the ground. So like I lift heavy on the plate, but it makes it more doable for me because I have more muscles moving more and helping me out. But the strength is incredible. People gain strength, people gain, you know, endurance. I know I kind of, you know, I'm kind of a, I would say exercise nerd, and I love to read the research and all this stuff, and Mary Ellen even more so.
Sure.
And so we're reading all this stuff and learning all this stuff about what the plate does, and you know, you're like, yeah, but am I getting stronger? I don't know. I haven't done traditional lifting in forever, so I've been playing with it, and sure enough, I did an exercise, and I actually tripled my weight that I was able to lift.
Look at you.
Yeah,
Kim,
so I'm like,
amazing.
okay, the science is right.
Wow, there you go. That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
One other thing I want to bring up too, though, is that you all talk about, you know, our good eating habits are very important as well. Because if you're just going to not eat very well, it's like if you didn't feed your horse well and then you try to take them to a competition, you know they're not going to have the energy to do it. So eating right is a big thing. And I think equestrians get, you know, pretty tired out sometimes, especially even to a competition or just, you know, when they are working towards a goal. So can you tell us a little bit about that, kind of what you kind of talk about, like eating wise, that's good for people?
Yeah. Generally, when our clients come in, we work with nutritionist biochemist Jack Rogan. He does a hair analysis on our clients, and that's totally separate of what we do. And then he will guide them as to what their physiology, the science, I'm talking about the science of exercise, he's talking about the science of your physiology and you. And he will give you exactly what your diet should be and how, you know, how to go about doing that. And also supplementation, you know, just like our horses. They're not, you know, they don't always have the best nutrition, but then we try to give them the best. But our ground is depleted of nutrition, so no matter what we feed them, they're going to need something. As a matter of fact, Jack started, and that's one of the things when I interviewed with Mary Ellen, she was telling me about Jack's her husband, and how he is also the chief science officer for Euclid's. And I was that little weird Equestrian and who I want to try this supplement for my horse, and God love my trainer, she'd be like, okay, Kim, whatever.
There's another supplement.
So I was familiar with Euclid's products.
Yeah.
And so when she said that that's her husband, I'm like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
I know that. Exactly.
Like
So I'm like, okay, I know that. But then I found out that he also does it for the human side. And his business is NutriHealth, where he works with, as I say, humans, with us.
Yeah, right.
But he does the same thing for horses. He does, of which Bailey, our horse, had his hair analysis done. He was straight off the track. And of course, their nutrition is crap and their body is beat up. So, we found the right amount of supplements to help calm him down. He had a little PTSD and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So via Jack, otherwise it would have been a guessing game, and at Oxford, Leslie feeds him very good feed. So it's not like that would have been depleted,
Right.
but he just needed a little something over and above that,
Right.
Yeah.
and it just helped him quite a bit. But Jack does the same thing for our clients, and they get great success because you do need to eat clean.
Yeah.
Our ground is not having the minerals that it used to have. And so even if you eat all organic, you also need to eat a little, maybe take some supplementation, all that. And, we equestrians will, again, feed our horses first.
Right, exactly.
And then I'm going to go ride 5 more.
Right.
And then, you know what, can you hand me that pretzel?
Exactly.
And I am so
That's right,
exhausted and
exactly.
stressed, I need a glass of wine.
Right, right, exactly.
And then I'm going to get up and do it again.
Right,
Yeah.
that's exactly.
Exactly,
We talked about
exactly.
that today. Yeah, yeah. But the thing is you just can't run on that. So
No.
protein's so important, and your good fats are important, and those are things that we tend to forget about when we get busy. And it's so good to have someone like Kim, for me, that reminds me all the time, because she has to remind me over. I don't know how many times she had to remind me over and over.
It's okay. As many times as it takes,
but
Debbie.
it's so sweet. Yeah, you do it all the time. But the thing is it does make a big difference to go longer or further and not be so tired out. And I think too, I don't know if it's so much for. I know it's for younger people too, but I mean even for me at my age then too, that my blood sugar level stays more consistent through the day rather than just letting it like spike and drop and spike and drop. So those are things we've talked about too that's made a big difference. So, but I think people are under the kind of impression too that fats are not good. So, they just want to diet, the word diet. But it's a mix of that together.
It's of
Protein
everything. You
and
need to
good
focus
fats,
on
your good fats.
Yeah, you need to focus on what is going to give me the most bang for my buck and
Right.
nutrition, and take care of my body and my insides. And, so that's it. And unfortunately, when people are riding and busy and stuff, it does take a minute to learn and meal prep and or learn the places
It
that you
does.
can go. But then it becomes second
It
nature.
does.
Like, everybody is second nature in their fast food places they go. Or what do I grab, at the gas station to, get me by? What energy drink do I drink to
Right.
keep me going? That kind of stuff. So it's just a matter of just switching and tweaking, and it only takes a few weeks to get into that routine.
It does.
And then you start feeling better.
Yeah, you do. And if you have that with you instead of just grabbing for all those other things, and you have it throughout the day, then it makes such a big difference. And I don't know, it's just, I don't know, it seems like it gets a little easier. Like you said, in time, it does get a little bit easier to do. So
Yeah.
you just have to make the right choices. So you put the two together
Oh,
with the power plates,
amen.
then you got this right there. So-
Amen. You just and then that's the thing too. It's like the awesome thing, besides the power plate taking only like a half-hour workout,
Yes.
you
yeah.
gain so much benefit. You don't have to work out every single day. We recommend twice a week.
Wow.
You know?
Look at Gretchen's
I'm trying to become
not an
sold.
exerciser. We
I do
tease
not
Gretchen.
exercise.
Yeah.
Everybody laughs and teases her, the poor thing. Like, you can walk down here and walk around there. She's like, no. So I think this is sounding better to her.
I know, 30
All the
minutes
time.
twice a week.
Done.
That's it. You're
So
done.
easy.
Yeah, I had
And
it,
you've done more than your friends, So
Yeah, I had an old client, not old age-wise, but a client that used to go to my classes, contact me one time, and she's like, Kim, I'm interested, I trust you, I've been seeing you posting things on Facebook, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And she said, but my problem is I can only work out like at lunchtime, but I don't have time to shower, don't have time to do this. I'm like, half hour, done. By the time you think you're going to sweat, you're done. Don't worry about it. She goes, seriously?
Exactly. It
I'm like,
is.
yep, you may just have to
Right.
powder your nose, go back to work, you're fine, and you have time to eat.
You think you should be like sweating and working
No.
so hard and hurting while you're, I'm going to do more. And it's not like that. It's just, it feels good. It really
Right.
feels good. And I'm so glad that we have it here. I'm so thankful that we have it, because I know it's around. You can find it, but here, right here in
Right.
our
Well, there's
area, we
not
do have
that
it.
many. That's why it's so studios that have them.
Yeah.
A lot of professional teams do. I mean, if you start now that you're aware of what they are, pay attention to, like on the sidelines, especially college teams and pro teams and that kind of stuff. You'll see some of them on the sidelines and keep the players warm. But when Marilyn first got it, maybe 2.5 years ago, she was one of 10 studios in the United States. Now she's like one of 25, and we have 2 of them. We, meaning her.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So how do you find, because we're not just, like, our listeners aren't just in Ohio,
Yeah.
how do you find them in the country?
You go on PowerPlate, their website, and there is a list of different gyms and or studios.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So they will give it to you, or you can email them directly. And then I follow them on Facebook and Instagram and all that.
Great.
And PowerPlate came out with a new, I'll say a tool this year that's just like a handheld tool that you can use that if you have an instructor that can tell you about it and show you how to use it or whatever, it's something you can use in between a little bit. I love it because I have some, areas where sometimes they get tight, and riders have that happen, but there are things like that as well too that can be supplemented with it. So.
And what does it do? I'm sorry.
It's just a handheld tool. It's the same thing. It has the vibration, and you can just put it on yourself, on the areas where you feel tight or where you feel tension, or on your feet or on your hands, on your arms, on your, and it just feels so good. It's the same vibration that you get with PowerPlate, but it's not like a big PowerPlate, but it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
And,
It looks like a gun.
Okay.
It's called the Pulse, and it just is a massage gun.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll enter our next segment, Canter Banter.
Thank you.
This podcast is brought to you by Ramm Horse Fencing and Stalls, the one-stop shop for your horse farm. Ramm is family-owned and operated and has been in business for over 30 years. We welcome you to call in and speak with an expert about your next project today at 866-653-8984. Again, that's 866-653-8984. Do you love horses and live the equestrian lifestyle? Be sure to check out our brand new blog at www.yourhorsefarm.com. We publish 3 posts per week and feature a free printable equine checklist every month. Yourhorsefarm.com is a great equine online resource, so be sure to share with all the horse lovers in your life. And remember, laugh much and ride often.
And we're back. On this segment of Canter Banter, Kim is going to share a story about her daughter and her daughter's horse.
Okay, so her horse's name is Boaz, and he's quite the character. Like I said earlier, he is off the track. He was 4 years on the track, so he does have a little PTSD. But all in all, he is a big puppy dog when you're on the ground with him. He's a very smooth ride when he wants to be. I mean, he rides very smoothly, but he's got an attitude, and he typically, you can see it in his eyes. His eyes will change. His ears will pin back, and they actually fight each other. His ears will go back, and you'll hear, "Oh yes," in the ring, and she'll be yelling, "Knock it off!" And he will get more and more upset, and they will literally fight like siblings.
Back and forth,
yes, and they're both stubborn. So she usually
I
wins.
feel like the mom that has to go out there and say, "Stop it!
Yes,
Stop it!"
yeah. But I sit there because she's very good with him, and they'll be like, "Boys, knock it off! Stop it!" But
none of us have ever done that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And so she's trying to maintain and all this kind of stuff. But he, like I said, he's a very smooth ride, but he's very athletic and tricky. So he can kick out super high. Leslie redid her indoor, and one of the kicks on the new wood is from him. That kind of stuff.
He autographed it.
Yes,
then.
but he kept on cantering beautifully. That didn't miss a step.
Didn't miss a beat.
No, not whatsoever.
Goodness.
So plus him being off the track, the big goofball, his back will go out a lot, and so of course he doesn't realize, put 2 and 2 together, I kick that higher, I'd be ridiculous. He also likes to rear up every now and then. His back will go out, so he gets adjusted. So needless to say, whenever his back goes out, Bailey's back goes out.
Oh my
So-
goodness. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so
they're just on the same level.
basically,
I mean,
they're
they're same
both like,
plane.
fighting each other,
Oh my.
getting along, fighting each other, and then their backs go out. She does Epsom salts baths and on her and on him. But since she's not living here right now, but when she was home and we had the plates, she would work out on the plates and do the massage and blah, blah, blah. And her back would continuously get better and stronger and stronger. So even though he would be this goofball, and like I say, he's very athletic and smooth, but he was athletic enough to like, you know, I can really twist your body
Yeah.
around.
Wow,
And
yes.
and so that's been another huge benefit. And she's been holding her adjustments from the chiropractor.
Good.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. So
awesome.
Huge
she in a way won that fight.
One up.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
That's a good story.
Well, thank you so much for taking time to come in and record with us today.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you, Kim.
We hope you enjoyed listening to our podcast and encourage you to share with all of your equestrian family and friends. You can tune into the Late Night Riders podcast show every Friday night. Each episode will be uploaded exclusively on YouTube, where you can subscribe to our channel to stay up to date with all of our latest shows. Do you have a topic you'd like to discuss? We want to hear from you. You may email us at podcast@ramfence.com or feel free to leave a comment below. Thank you again for listening.
Thank you, Kim.